seriously, thank you guys for being out here to do this. It's always good to, it's good to have you guys here in general. Especially, one of the things when we opened Kogen that we really wanted to do was have a wide variety of instructors with different perspectives and sort of different tastes of jiu-jitsu, different flavors of jiu-jitsu, and so that we could embrace all those different aspects. At the end of the day, we're a Helson school, and we focus on self-defense on one side as sort of a foundation, but then we also have all these different perspectives on jiu-jitsu. Chris has a different perspective. Ike has a different perspective. Doug, Billy, Matt, Bowie, myself, we're all looking at different sides of jiu-jitsu, and when we come together and roll, then that's when everybody learns how this works, how this doesn't work. This works better against this works better against that. So it's like a team chess match, right? And we're all trying to get better and trying to get that checkmate at the end of the day. So thank you guys for being here. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about jiu-jitsu, about leg locks, about what you're going to be teaching today. How do you guys get into jiu-jitsu? I don't really care which one goes first, but
Sure.
yeah, how did you get into jiu-jitsu, Doug?
So I got into jiu-jitsu probably like 10 or 12 years ago. I remember being really young and watching one of the first UFCs, watching Hoist tap out some dude. I forgot who it was. It was Gi. I thought that was really cool. Didn't think a lot about it. And then later on, I think after the first Ultimate Fighter, like the first one in the house, and that was on, I started taking classes, I think, right after that. So this was a while ago, but I think that was the real thing that finally got me into it.
And you did martial arts before jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, so we had an instructor, our first one, teaching at where I was teaching Taekwondo at, and I kind of hit a wall with that, and I saw this other thing that looked really crazy, looked a lot more like MMA, and that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, awesome. What about you, Billy? How did you get into it?
I think it kind of started out when I was young, man. I was always undersized. I'm still undersized. Shut up. I know I'm a gnome. But my cousins were like PA state champ wrestlers, so when I was like in elementary school, I just used to get twisted up like a pretzel, and it never really hit me. Now looking back on it, I really wish I did it, wrestling, but it kind of turned me away from it, I guess, because they were so good at it. And then once I got into like high school, maybe college, I think I do remember seeing like Hoist, and I think that's pretty much the origin of all of us. We saw like Hoist do it, and what it was is I was always undersized, and I was like, man, I really, I used to watch Van Damme movies and like all, Rocky and stuff like that, and be like, all right, well, I don't have the longest arms, I'm not the tallest guy, so if I'm gonna learn striking, I'm probably gonna get beat up pretty bad, just even trying to, if I ever get in an altercation. And then one day I stumbled upon Marcelo Garcia, and I think it was the ADCC highlight from him like a while back, where he's wearing that white rash guard. And it was Vitor. I forget who it was, but man, he legit. And he's our size. He might be a little bit thicker in the lower body, but he's our size, and he just like climbed up on somebody like a backpack.
Rodriguez, that's who it was.
Yeah, and just the ease. Not the ease. He was just straight up tactician, and I saw that. And as soon as I saw that, I fell in love with it. And it wasn't until 4 or 5 years later, when I got out of college, that I actually had the financial means and the time. And one of my clients happened to actually own a school, and he's like, dude, you should come over. And I think later on that week, I was at a class, and it's bit me ever since.
So what makes you guys stick with it after all this time? You've been doing it for quite a while now. You're both brown belts, and
Good.
I actually...
If I could choke Ike right now, then I would, but it's probably going to end poorly for me since he just popped into the video. Yeah.
I got busted up within my first year. I got a big injury because back then jiu-jitsu was different. You rolled hard, and I remember getting hurt. My back got shattered, and it's still bad. But what got me back into it and staying with it is realizing that jiu-jitsu can be done a lot of different ways. So when I realized that I didn't have to play like what my instructor was doing, or I could play a smaller person's game, and I started watching guys like Jeff Glover, Bill Cooper, all these smaller guys, and how they roll and compete. And then on top of that, just having guys like Billy, I had a good friend at my last school, having those connections, I think that's what keeps me coming back. People that can push you, people that have the same mindset as you. I think I'd still be doing jiu-jitsu, but not the clip I'm doing now.
Yeah. And having the same mindset is a big deal, but also having the same intention but a different mindset seems to be a really big factor as well. That like if all of us have sort of different personal goals within jiu-jitsu but the same intention to get really, really good at that, then we all we make each other better. You know, that's my attitude anyway. I mean, that's kind of one of the bases of Kogen. You know, that we all make each other better by having the same focus, but with different sort of sub focuses. Makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what makes you stick with it?
I just love it. Like I said before, like even before I ever touched, smelled, and tasted jiu-jitsu, like I fell in love with just what it was. And then once I, got smashed on my first day on the mat, it was just like it sounds bad, but you're like, wow, somebody who might be smaller than me or older than me or cuter than me or whatever, they can just smash you, and you have nothing. You can't do anything about it. You will just, like Sam Harris says, the pleasure of drowning. Like, it's amazing the way he verbalizes it, but like it's just amazing to be able to impose your will on somebody. But not only that, I think it's beautiful because you don't have to smash them in the face. You don't have to break their legs. You can take them down and hold them. I mean, you see all these like police videos, or like who was it? Henzo's black belt that just held somebody.
Oh, yeah, Sarah.
So yeah, Matt Sarah like held some drunk dude down in the casino. Like you don't have to maim somebody, but you can take it as far as they want to. And I think just and also it's just it's the love of it. Like I love these guys. Like I've known these guys for less than 10 years, and I feel like I've known them longer than some of the people that I were born with, like some of my family. Like I know them better. It's amazing. One
of my teachers likes to say with grappling, as soon as you put your hands on somebody, you know who they are.
Yes,
and I feel like that. And then the more that you do that with the same people over and over again, I feel like it's a connection that's sort of unbreakable.
Yeah.
But what are you guys going to be teaching today?
We're showing leglocks. We got the Danaher and the Gordon Reiner coming down in 2 weeks, which everybody should be going to. And our idea with this wasn't to take anything away from that, because this is not going to be on that level. Right. We know leglocks are still a new thing for people. We know a lot of people are maybe not scared, but they just don't understand them. And Danaher is really big on systemization. We're really big on that here as well. So Billy and I wanted to kind of give people like an intro lesson so that when they go there, they're not completely caught off guard. If you're going to pay good money to watch these experts teach, I don't want people to feel like they're overwhelmed. So we're a couple weeks out, like 2 weeks out. Hopefully we can give people a basis on just everything he's showing. Yeah. Do you want to talk about what we're showing though?
Well, just to piggyback off what you're saying is like this would just be like if Danaher and Gordon Ryan are a master's level college course. We're just trying to give people like that entry level, the verbiage, what things should look like, what they should feel like. This way, if they show up at the seminar in a couple weeks, they're just like, wait, what are these names? I mean, it's like the first day you walk into a judo class. You're like a Sotogari and all these names, and your mind's just blown. So hopefully we can give them a first look. Doug teaches Wednesdays and Saturdays, and we had a full month where we showed leg locks. So some of our students are not well versed, but at least they got they kind of got to see it. But yeah, so what we're going to be teaching today, we're going to be teaching straight Ashi. We're going to skip over outside Ashi. Maybe if we have some time towards the end, we'll get into it. We're going to show cross Ashi in the 411, and then we're also going to show some reverse out Ashi, or what I was always told was Russian cowboy. Yeah.
Nice. And actually, the way that you guys presented that, it's really what made me get behind it more than anything else. Is like the idea that everybody's going to walk into this amazing seminar with these world-class jiu-jitsu practitioners.
We're talking about John Danaher.
Yeah, I was talking about Danaher and Gordon Ryan.
Wait, can we cut that back?
Yeah, exactly. So they're going to walk into this amazing seminar at Mike and Jordan's school out in Columbia in 2 weeks, and but if they start out and they're using language that nobody even knows, like everybody should know what an armbar is, side control is, but once you get into like Ashi Garami, 411, cross Ashi, reverse cowboy, all these different things that if you don't even have that language to start with, then it's all completely new. So this gives people sort of at least the vocabulary to be able to go in there and have something like a conversation, right?
I see you, Gunny. What's up, man?
What up, Gunny?
I saw Big Steve said preschool for
right. I like that. Big Steve.
Yeah. But I really love what these guys are doing. It's not my focus right now, and that's actually one of the reasons why I love it, because I'm focused on something different, and then people come from their classes and start doing what they're teaching on me against the thing I'm working on, and it makes me have to get better at the thing I'm working on. Instead of me saying like, well, let me stop what I'm doing and then relearn something new. It actually forces me to really focus on all of the weaknesses in what I'm doing, and then later when I want to refocus on something else, like the leg lock game, then I already have a foundation of, well, it doesn't work in this case, or it does work in this case, and all those things. So I have a different perspective to approach it with. But I definitely think that the idea that people just shouldn't look at leg locks is absurd these days, and that's why we're really trying to embrace what Doug and Billy are teaching over here, instead of saying, well, that's not fundamental, when in fact right now it is fundamental in jiu-jitsu. It may not be the thing that was fundamental in the 80s, but right now, if you go to, we just went to a jiu-jitsu tournament a week or so ago, and half of the people there dropped to their butts and tried to do leg locks. So it's fundamental. Now, just out of curiosity, how did you guys actually get into wanting to focus on leg locks? I mean, you obviously didn't start there,
You want me to take this one?
Yeah.
So my first instructor, like I said, was one of my clients, and he kind of brought me in. I knew he had a studio, and once I got over there, it was all no gi. Before I went to my first traditional school, I was actually one of the pioneers trying to get people in the gi, because once again, I read Marcelo Garcia, and he was like, man, if you really want to get good, you got to do both. You can't just specialize in one. So my first instructor, he was a cage fighter back in like the Indian reservation days, so basically the Wild Wild West. But his, I believe he learned in Arizona, and his school was heavy in sambo. So before I ever put on a gi, I was learning, rolling toe holds and like Victor rolls and knee bars, and we mainly focused on a lot more like outside heel hooks. We didn't get into like saddle and cross ashi, but it was like Russian knee knot and stuff like that. And then when I went to a traditional school, because I'd never been in a gi before, I wanted to just not try and go in there like I knew leg locks, because I didn't. I had a little bit of experience with them, but I didn't want to go in there and hit anybody with it, because you never want to step on anybody's toes. So I kind of shelved them until I was like a blue belt, when this good-looking dude came through, and me and him. You're good looking too, but you didn't do leg locks. No, I'm just saying. So as soon as Doug and I met, and I remember it was like
love at first sight.
It was pretty much love at first sight.
Creepy ever since.
It's been really creepy ever since.
Creepy,
you know what I mean? But
don't worry, it's only gonna go on YouTube and Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah. So and as soon as me and Doug, like, basically we had like a 25-minute match. It must have been like half the night. We just smashed each other, and neither of us were willing to quit. And I think right at that moment, Doug really his game embodies the small man game. And I'm a little bit like thicker than Doug, but I wanted to learn his game. Like, his game made me feel like I was a spider on ice. Like, I just couldn't get footing. He was nasty with his hooks. Wasn't really hitting leg locks, but he was just really, really good from the bottom. Could just do whatever he wanted, and I think it was my sheer will that kept me on the mat with him. So after that, then him and I basically, it was before class, after class, during class we were drilling. We'd meet up on the weekends, and pretty much he was trying to help me. I remember one day he was trying to help me with a knee cut pass, and one of his favorite things is just the back step from a knee cut when you start cutting through someone's half guard. And he was really big into the back step, and that's where his position was, kind of like he likes to call it like lazy man jiu-jitsu. And once we started playing with that, next thing you know, he just came in one day like, hey, I'm going to do a back step to like a knee bar to like, let's check out this inside heel hook. And then him and I, it was like 2 straight years where we just banged leg locks just every single day, just looking at stuff, trying to break it down.
Yeah, like we came from a place, and a lot of schools where, and I came from all gi schools that would only do like no gi in the summer when it got hot, like down in Brazil. And I drank the Kool-Aid where I was like, leg locks are nasty and they're cheap and they don't take a lot of talent. Like John Danaher talks a lot about this. You'll hear Dean Lister. But then I remember R.S. Andrew at John's. I didn't tap one day. He got me in an ankle lock and it just popped. And I was like,
Andrew Mosdale?
Yeah. And I was like, man, that really sucked. And he was always like the leg lock guy at our school. And I never tried to.
Artist Andrew,
never tried to really learn that game. I was like, I'm just gonna beat him and get around the game. And it wasn't until that where like my ego settled down. And I was like, that was a legit move. And he did it slow enough where he gave me the option to tap, and I was just stupid and did it. And that was maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. And ever since then, we just started watching film. Like, people say don't watch YouTube, but like at our level, like we were just watching tapes of guys. We were watching breakdowns, anything we could find of people doing them, and just trying to hammer a system down. So instead of learning moves, we were really learning something that was like systematic and in a row that made sense. And then being able to give that to other people, especially smaller guys who can't roll with bigger guys the same way that they might want to, that became like it became empowering, which was like a really strong feeling to give new guys.
That makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I felt powerless in some of those positions. Actually, one of the really cool ideas about the seminar today is that you're focusing on positions as opposed to just the finish. And I can say for a fact that getting into like 411, or I guess that just Ashi Garami 411.
That would be straight Ashi.
Straight Ashi, yeah. That it's the equivalent of having someone take your back, belly down, arms underneath your chest with a rear naked choke in and their hooks in. That like it
you are talking about cross Ashi. I'm sorry. Yeah, cross Ashi is 411. Yeah,
so it feels that helpless because there's no way to get your legs out once it's sunk in deep, and then the submission is inevitable. And that's what I really like about the idea of this. It's not just about submissions. It's about getting to these dominant positions that don't seem dominant until you're caught. And that's one of the reasons that I really like, want to check out what you guys are doing, and especially what Danaher and Gordon Ryan are going to be showing in a couple weeks. Danaher's approach to systematization is just it really sort of tickles the intellect, and reading all of his posts and stuff like that. And I hope that we can kind of take this as a foundation, go have people go there, get what they can get from the seminar, bring it back, and just make the school better. That's what it's all about. So, any final comments you guys want to make?
Oh, please go to the Danaher seminar. I think there's still some spots left. I know he just posted on his Instagram, so I'm sure they're filling up. But please go to that. What we also didn't mention, and what I've been mentioning in my class, is the leg lock stuff might go over a lot of your guys' heads at the seminar. But the second half, they're doing all back attacks. And his back attack system, when you watch at a very high level, like at the EBIs, the ADCC, I mean, they're finishing guys by like rear naked choke or like rear naked strangle. Like that, his system, the way he traps the arm and everything, that's not being shown online. A lot of people aren't breaking it down. So I think that, of anything, Inoki, I mean, back is king. So please make it just for that. I mean, that alone is worth your money.
Yep, and that's August 18th, 2018, in case you're watching this in the future. And at Mike Stewart's school, Gracie Maryland in Columbia, go to realjujitsu.com to check that out. If you want to come here and train with these guys, it's kogendojo.com, KOGENDOJO.com. And like Doug said earlier, or Billy said earlier, no-gi on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and then also Ike teaches no-gi in the mornings on Wednesdays and Fridays at 9 a.m. and we have a no-gi open mat every Sunday at 11:30. Come in and play around and try everything out. Thank you guys very much for everything, for being here and for doing this. So time to get on the mat.